chronic diseases, blood pressure, blood sugar, blood cholesterol, asthma, allergy, cancer, cardiovascular illnesses have now become the number one killer in the world. When they become acute, they become life-threatening. 5 million Indians die of chronic illnesses every year, which is 60% of India's total death, which means 60% of Indians are dying, not of old age, but of chronic illnesses. The situation is not different in other countries either. America spends 20% of its GDP on healthcare. America spends 20% of its per capita on healthcare. Yet 1 million Americans die every year of chronic illnesses. An American physician during a health debate said recently that there was a time when 1 out of 1,000 was diabetic, then 1 out of 100, then 1 out of 50, and today 1 out of 8 in America is diabetic, he said. And if this situation continues as it does, 1 in 3 is going to be diabetic in America in the next 20 years. I am a quantum physicist specialized in quantum biology. I teach quantum healing. I have written on the subject of quantum biology in the newspaper too. Quantum biology is a new interdisciplinary field which attempts to understand biology at the quantum level, biology at the microscopic level, biology at the subcellular, submolecular level, while classical mainstream bioscience is cellular biology or molecular biology. Quantum is the smallest uncuttable, indivisible unit through which energy is emitted and absorbed by every single object that exists in the universe. A quantum of electricity is called electron, a quantum of light is called photon, a quantum of sound is called phonon, and so on and so forth. My object here is to give you some tools and techniques with which you can fight chronic illnesses non-pharmacologically, non-materialistically. So let's see what is a chronic disease. Chronic diseases are chemical compositional changes in the blood which make the cells dystrophic or pathologic. The cells are like fishes. The blood is the aquarium in which they live. When the aquarium becomes toxic or polluted, the cells become ill, the cells become dystrophic or pathologic. So what we do is pharmaceutical intervention. What we do is pharmacological intervention to correct the chemical imbalance in the blood. Pharmacological intervention does correct the chemical imbalance in the blood, but once the effects of the medication is over in 10, 12, 14 hours, the blood is back to its baseline, the biology is back to its baseline. Because chemicals are not the causes, symptoms are not the sources. Allopathic medicine is based on scientific reductionism, which means the human body is a physico-chemical machine which can be corrected only through physical and chemical interventions, which means through drugs and surgeries, which is excellent for infectious diseases, surgeries, acute diseases, heart attacks, accidents, trauma, and a host of other things. It's excellent, which has reductionism has prevented deaths and prolonged human lives in their millions. But reductionism, when it comes to chronic illnesses, reductionism in non-living things has produced marvels such as cell phones, smartphones, GPS and jumbo jets. But reductionism in chronic illnesses is an abysmal failure because chronic illnesses, as I have said, are chemical compositional changes which get corrected, but the biology is back to the baseline once the effects of the medication is over in 10, 12, 14 hours. Meta-analysis, which is a statistical analysis that combines several multiple scientific studies, now indicate that only 30% of the current chronic diseases are organic, which means only 30% of the current chronic diseases are caused by industrialized food, environmental toxins, and sedentary lifestyles. 70% of the current chronic diseases are caused psychogenically, which means they are caused by stress and psychosocial factors of modern lifestyle. The real culprit is the pro-inflammatory lifestyle that we live today in modern times. On an average, every human being has 50 to 60 stresses a day. 7 out of 10 thoughts we have are either redundant or negative. From the time we wake up till the time we go into sleep, we keep thinking. We are thinking and thinking. We are thinking without knowing that we are thinking. We are lost in thoughts all the time. And most of the time they are negative. We have become hostage to our thoughts. We have more reasons to be concerned than content. We have more reasons to be unhappy than happy. Our mind, as someone said, is a velcro for bad experiences. Our mind is a Teflon for good experiences. Good experiences pass off. Bad experiences get stuck. They stay with us. Let me make a dog analogy which someone made some time back during a meeting. If you hit a dog in a new house, the dog will bark at you, the dog will try to bite you. And if you go back to that same house after 5 years, the dog will recognize you. The dog will try to bark at you again. But unlike a human being, the dog has not remembered the incident for 5 years. Had it been a human being, he would have remembered the incident at least 500 times in a span of 5 years. But a dog's memory was kindled only when the dog has seen the person on the 5th year. The dog has not had a single memory during the interregnum. This is the reason why chronic diseases are few and far between among animals, and this is the reason why psychotic disorders are mostly unknown or unheard of among animals. Now all these petty, negative, continuous, nasty thoughts, persistent thoughts are producing a low-level, chronic, imperceptible inflammation which turns on the body's protection mechanism. When the body's protection mechanism is turned on, the body's growth mechanism is turned off. As a result, let me complete the statement first, and then I will explain one after the other. I will expand one after the other. When the body's protection mechanism is turned on, the body's growth mechanism is turned off. When the growth mechanism is turned off, the immune system is turned off. As a result, the microbiome of the body which is supposed to be protective of our health, becomes productive of diseases. Now, let me expand one after the other. Protection is originally intended to be protection against external dangers, external threats, danger to our life, danger to our property, danger to our profession, danger physical, mental, psychological, danger of any kind. That's external. But unfortunately, the brain cannot distinguish between a perception and a real reality. The brain cannot distinguish between a lion or a tiger chasing you, or a speech someone made, dogging you or pestering you. Now that's protection mechanism. When this protection mechanism is turned on, the growth mechanism, as I have said before, is turned off. Now let's see what is growth mechanism. Growth is not growth from a baby to an adult or from adult to old age. It's growth of millions of cells to compensate for the death of millions of cells that are occurring inside our body every minute. There are two processes in the body which are called mitosis and apoptosis. Mitosis is the cellular birth, apoptosis is the cellular death. Death and birth are keys to health. The key to life is death within. Cancer cells are cells that refuse to die. As a result, we find them intractable. Now let's see what is microbiome. Microbiome is a collection of microbial organisms which flood our body. 90% of our cells are microbial cells, with 10% human cells hanging on to them. This is why experts say that we are a walking microbial colony with a few human cells hanging on to them. But these microbial organisms, which are bacteria, pathogens and viruses, are needed for our system. They help us, they support us, they serve us. But when the growth is disturbed, when the growth is stopped, as a result the immune system is stopped, then the microbiome, which is supposed to be protective of our health, becomes productive of diseases. As a result, the microbes are called opportunistic organism. Now let's see how microbes enter our body. Microbes enter our body in two ways. They are, number one, they are self-generated. They are generated inside. Number two, they are received from outside too. Number one, how are they generated inside? When the body turns over millions of cells to compensate for the death of millions of cells, our cells, as I have said, are dying every 30-40 hours and they need to be replaced. So when the body turns over millions of cells, a few percentage of them are mutations, which means defective cells, which means mutant cells. They turn out to be all kinds of cancer cells. They turn out to be all kinds of disease-producing viruses. Now let's see how they are received from outside too. The air we breathe is full of germs. The water we drink has germs. The food we eat has germs. Any pathologist can confirm to you that the air, water and the food we consume are not free of impurities. They are full of impurities. Now, in spite of all these poisons and pollutants, pathogens, poisons and pollutants inside our body, generated inside, received from outside. Most of us are mostly healthy most of the time because our body produces all kinds of antidotes to take care of the poisons and pollutants that are inside our body. Our body is said to be the most exquisite pharmacy in the world. It produces all kinds of drugs and tranquilizers. It produces all kinds of antibiotics and antioxidants. It produces all kinds of anti-cancer drugs, interferon, interleukin, leucovorin. These are anti-cancer drugs, but our body produces them in tons to take care of the cancer viruses that are inside our body. Our body produces anti-diabetic drug, anti-hypertensive drug, anti-hepatitis drug, anti-HIV drug. You name it, the body produces it. 50% of women has BRCA1 gene inside them. 50%. BRCA1 gene is a gene that causes breast cancer. 50% of the women have them, yet not even 1% of women has breast cancer, because the body takes care of them by producing the correct antidotes at the correct time, at the correct dosage. Our body's natural state is one of health. It's only when the growth is disturbed, it's only when the growth is stopped, the immune system is stopped, the immune system is compromised. As a result, the microbiome, which is supposed to be protective of our health, becomes productive of diseases. It's only when the self-renewal doesn't take place, this self-regulation and self-repair don't take place or stopped. So the real culprit is the pro-inflammatory lifestyle that we live, which has to be turned into anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Metabolism is the precursor to health. Metabolism of the food we eat, metabolism of the thoughts we think, determine the metabolic pathways which determine our health. Our biology is the metabolic end product of not just what we eat, but how we think, how we feel, how we behave, how we believe, how we react, how we reflect, how we emote. All of them produce metabolites which are released into the nervous system, which are released by the nervous system into the blood, which translate into all kinds of chronic illnesses. Cholesterol metabolism test conducted even on rabbits revealed that the rabbits that were taken out of the cage, put on the lap, kissed, hugged and fed with the cholesterol-rich food did not develop arteriosclerosis, while the rabbits that received the food thrown inside the cage, frowned upon and frightened of, did develop arteriosclerosis. Even our tears are biochemically different when they are tears of love, when they are tears of joy, when they are tears of ecstasy. Therefore, what you take into your mind is as important as what you take into your body. Psychology alters physiology. With the discovery of RIA, radio immunoassay, a technique that measures molecules, which revolutionized the field of neuroendocrinology, for which Rosalind Yalow got her Nobel Prize. We now can see the molecular equivalent of a thought, mind's interaction with the brain, states of mind translating into different states of biology can be seen today. As a result, psychology is no longer a philosophy, it's a science today in the West, because every mental activity has a corresponding brain activity. Every mental change has a corresponding brain change. Every thought alters your brain, because thoughts are units of energy that change oxygen-hydrogen bonds inside your brain. Mind produces molecules, thought produces peptides, consciousness drives gene mutations. All of them are in violation of the laws of classical physics. All of them are in violation of the laws of thermodynamics. Therefore, modern physicians should learn as much about thoughts, feelings and emotions as about drugs and diseases, so that they treat the cause and not the chemicals, so that they treat the source and not the symptoms. Hypertension or high blood pressure is not amlodipine deficiency. Depression is not Prozac deficiency. Chemicals are only consequences of the diseases, not cause of the disease. Shooting the messenger is not the solution to the problem.